Welcome to Who You Got. Tonight's show is going to be a fun one as we look at matchups between teams poised to make the playoffs, and some look like they can win it all. I'm joined by DITV's Taylor Van Fleet. Taylor, thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me, Jacob. Happy to be here.
Anytime, Taylor. Our first matchup of the day, my Vikings are traveling to pay the Panthers a visit. The Vikings are on an 8-game winning streak behind Case Keenum. This is their third road game in a row. Taylor, who you got?
Well, I'm really looking forward to this game, Jacob. Both defenses are so strong in this. I think it's going to come down to that, honestly. Even though both teams have great quarterbacks in Case Keenum and Cam Newton, I do think it's going to come down to defense. The Vikings might have the best front seven in all of the NFL right now. And then the Panthers also have a couple really great linebackers in Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis that can really make some plays and change the outcome of a game. But I do think that the Vikings are just on a tear right now. Case Keenum is playing great, and I have them winning their 9th in a row this week.
Very cool. I will have to agree with you on that. I do like the Vikings this week. The thing is that when you look at Cam Newton, he's thrown 11 interceptions in 12 games. And I think because he's so sloppy, the Vikings are going to torch him a little bit on that. The Vikings with Coach Zimmer are 2-0 against Cam Newton. And on top of that, they're just too strong, I think. Last week, when the Saints blitzed Cam Newton, they blitzed 56% of the time in the second half. He only threw 33% of his passes for completions. I think the Vikings are going to jailhouse blitz him. I think they're going to have a really good game against him, and I see the Vikings winning their 9th straight.
Yeah, how does it feel having a team that actually wins games? Congratulations.
Thanks. It's nice to finally see a good season.
Yeah, well, you guys look really good up there from all the way at the bottom of the NFC North. So.
Our next matchup stays in the NFC South with the Saints traveling down to Atlanta to play the Falcons. The Falcons just lost at home last week while the Saints are coming off a big win over the Panthers. Taylor, who you got?
Well, right now we are seeing vintage Drew Brees. I mean, he is just showing us exactly what he's capable of, what we've known he's capable of, but might have forgotten a little bit. And right now he's third in the league for passing yards, and he just keeps finding ways to win games. And they also have one of the better running backs in the league in Mark Ingram. I'm going to have to go with the Saints.
Okay. You know, I actually like the Falcons in this matchup for 2 reasons. Number one, they're at home, and it's hard to go into Atlanta and win a game. Last week, the Vikings scored 14 points against them, and the Vikings have been playing crazy, but the Vikings held them to 9. That's really why they won, because their defense is so good. But I think Atlanta's defense is good enough. I think the crowd's going to get so loud in Atlanta. Drew Brees, yes, he's playing insane right now. He's playing really well, actually, over the past 3-4 weeks that it's been. But I think that crowd in Atlanta is going to help kind of silence him out. Devonta Freeman, I think, is going to run on the Saints really well. I see that happening. And I see the Falcons maybe winning by about 7 this week.
See, I think that if the Falcons do have a chance, it's going to have to be Julio Jones and Matt Ryan connecting for them to have any chance. I don't think Devonta Freeman's going to have that great of a game, but we will have to see.
We will have to see. Next matchup, the NFC clashes with the AFC as the Seahawks get to go where it's warm to face the Jaguars. The Seahawks are just 1 spot out of first place in their division after beating the Eagles last week, while the Jaguars are coming off a big win over the Colts, and by big win, it's just a win. So last week they did have a loss to the Cardinals. The Jags are trying to come back from that. So Taylor, who you got?
Okay, this is a really tough one for me. I know Blake Bortles is coming off a really great game, one of the better games he's had all season with a 74.3 completion percentage. And I like the way the Jags look, I really do, but Russell Wilson right now is like MVP Russell Wilson. This is the guy that we saw 2 years ago, and what I saw from the Seahawks against the Eagles on Sunday, I was completely shocked. I had no idea that they were going to even play them well, let alone win and only hold them to 10 points. So I think the defense for the Seahawks right now is looking great, and Russell Wilson is just making plays. I mean, even when you think that he's about to go down, he's about to get sacked, he finds a way to get out of the pocket and he makes things happen. So I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks.
I have to agree with you. I picked the Seahawks in this game as well for 2 reasons. Number one, Russell Wilson has scored 29 of their 30 offensive touchdowns this season. He is absolutely a magician. There are 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and the Seahawks playing well in December. Russell Wilson, he's playing great football. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I hate to say it, but I think they've had kind of a cupcake schedule, and they lost to the Jets. You've got a team, and Blake Bortles, yeah, he's playing some all right football right now, but he's only got like an 80 passer rating right now. And really, to be a good quarterback in this league, all of them are getting 90s and above. So I think Blake Bortles, yes, he's had 1 or 2 good games this season, but he's not going to take them. If he does take them to the playoffs, they're not going to go very far. I think I've got the Seahawks winning this
Yeah,
one.
well, let's give some credit to the former Bears QB, Josh McCown, too, with the Jets. So, but you're right. I do think that the Seahawks definitely have an advantage over Jacksonville. But, you know, the Seahawks were also playing in CenturyLink against the Eagles, and we all know that that also plays a huge role for the Seahawks.
Absolutely. So our last matchup is between the Eagles and the Rams. The Eagles, who held the top spot in the NFC, fell to number 2 after their loss last week, while the Rams have won 6 in a row. Taylor, who you got?
I think this one is going to have to be a quarterback battle. I mean, Carson Wentz, even though they lost to the Seahawks on Sunday, I still think he is just a dominant quarterback in this league. And I do think that Philly is still one of the best teams in the NFC. And Jared Goff, I like him a lot too, but I got to go with the Eagles, getting back on track and getting the win on Sunday.
All right. I was actually going to say, you got no love for Jared Goff. That guy's playing incredible football right now for the Rams. I think, unfortunately for Philadelphia, I think they're kind of unraveling a little bit. Their season was going so well. It's like, you remember the Chiefs started off great. They were 5-0, 6-0, and now they're 6-6.
Yeah, but the Eagles only lost 1 game. I mean, that's just 1 game against a really tough Seattle defense. So I know a lot of people are hitting the panic button with the Eagles. I still think they're the real deal, and I have them being one of maybe the best team in the NFC besides the Vikings.
You know, I think it might be time to hit the panic button just because the Seahawks are really the toughest team they've played all season. Their division has not been that tough. They've got the Giants, they've got Dallas, who is now Dakless. They've been playing terrible. And they've got the Redskins, who are a pretty decent team, but it's still the Redskins. They're decent at best. So
Don't underestimate Carson Wentz.
I won't underestimate Carson Wentz, but I do have them losing this
All right,
game.
we will have to see.
So thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Who You Got. Classes are ending, and we're going to be going on break, but we will be back in January. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this segment.